have a little bit of a schedule change as well. Our next match is going to be Tice versus Dog, actually.
Yeah, we're gonna see who can pick up the matches and turn this one back around. Obviously, never feels good to get off to a 0-1 start, but you can't let that affect the way you're gonna play. You have to keep cool, make sure you're making the right decisions, and follow through on the lineup you brought.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of their lineups, so Dog, he's got like kind of a control-ish lineup. He has the combo Druid, I'm sorry, Rogue deck, and he's got a mid-range Paladin list and a very heavy control Priest deck. And I wonder how that's going to match up against Tice's lineup. He's just got a Druid deck that we don't actually know what it is yet. I would assume it's mid-range Druid. That's the most common one, but we don't know that for sure. And he's got Secret Paladin and Patron Warrior. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys match up here.
Yeah, I mean, having the Secret Paladin Patron Warrior, this feels like where Dog was trying to match his lineup against, sort of two decks that he expects players to be using. My question with this is, I wonder if his decks actually have a significant edge over these, or an edge at all for that matter, in the hands of a player like Tice. He's going to be making sure that he knows exactly what to play around. Had a chance probably to catch Dog's matchup, see exactly what he was using, and try to make the most of it. This is a situation where Druid, I feel like, can win versus all three of these decks. It kind of comes down more to the Druid draw than anything else. And then the Paladin and the Warrior, they're not very subtle decks. They like to get in there and start rumbling. And this is a situation where I think if Dog has the right cards at the right time, he can absolutely blow Tice out of the water. So it's going to come down a lot to the mulligans and a lot to specifically how the decks are built.
Yeah, I really like your point there. Depending on, I think it comes down to how Dog draws in his matchup because his decks seem a little more draw dependent. He can have a lot more clunky hands than say Tice can in some of his decks. And if he gets the right draw in some of these matchups, it's going to be hard for Tice to win. But vice versa is also true.
Yeah, I would have to say in this matchup that Tice is definitely the one on offense here, and Dog is going to be trying to answer everything he throws at him. So definitely has to understand his role in this matchup, know when to turn the corner at the right time, and be patient, but also recognize when do I turn up this heat? When do I really start to turn his attack right back around on him? So as long as he recognizes that that's his spot and doesn't try to get too ahead of himself, I think he's got a good chance to pick this one up. So we're going to figure out exactly how they want to tackle this one. The thing that's really interesting about it is that Tice has brought a lineup where all three of his decks, while they want to be the ones on offense, are capable of taking a defensive stance and really biding a little bit more time until they get the right pieces. Paladin, of course, a lot less subtle about that. Sometimes the right pieces are just Tyrion or Dr. Boom, but definitely can still fight for the board at pretty much every single step of the way until he has a couple of stumble draws. So waste no time. Let's get right into it. Tice is starting out with Druid, and I would say by the looks of that Azure Drake and that Big Game Hunter and that Wild Growth that this is definitely the mid-range variant.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned about Tice's lineup how his decks could go either way. They could play the aggressive role, they could go into controlling role. Is that something that you think he shies towards because he thinks himself as such a good player, and he is, and he wants to make sure that he can do whatever the situation calls for?
Well, a lot of it just could come down to the fact that he's respecting his opponents here too, and to rely more on your deck's natural power rather than to try to just completely take one way or the other and hope your opponents brought the wrong decks. I mean, that doesn't really strike me as the way that Tice is. I think he respects his opponents, their ability to build lineups, especially in a field like this. Just wants to have decks that have more raw power. And so I feel like something like mid-range Druid is really right up his alley. I mean, this is a deck that he has played to tremendous success in the past. And in a situation like this, something you can definitely fall back on if you don't feel like you have a significant skill edge over your opponents.
Yeah, and so we talked about how Tice's decks could go either way. They could be aggressive or controlling, and we're seeing Dog's controlling Priest deck being very aggressive here early. He is on the board in a big way early in this game, and that's what this deck is looking to do, trying to get out ahead. And he's going to be able to, draw an extra card here as well this turn.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a much different opening than we saw from Dog in his match versus Jab. I mean, in his match versus Jab, it looked like he wanted to just wait and wait and wait, and then turn the board around at some point. But here he's completely taken initiative. Tice's deck basically just doesn't have an effective way to answer this kind of board state. And in this matchup, this is exactly what Dog needed. I mean, this is night and day from his match versus Jab.
Yeah, this Valen's Chosen is going to be back-breaking here for Dog versus Tice. And it's like you said, the Druid deck does not handle this very well. When you go super wide on a Druid deck and they have to rely on swipe, if you can play around that, their deck doesn't have a lot of recovery. Maybe a Force of Nature, but look at this board. This Force of Nature is not even great here.
Yeah, not only that, but Dog's able to pick up 2 extra cards from the Northshire Cleric. So there's a threat of the card advantage, there's a threat of the board presence, and there's a threat of the tempo as well. I mean, Tice has to answer all 3 of these. And
Tice does pick up a swipe, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he can fend off the pressure for a little bit longer, but how long can you really keep up with this? I mean, the priest hero power, it's very difficult to set up, but once it gets set up, your value that's generated is directly onto the board. There's not a lot of decks that really have a hero power like that. It's very unique. I mean, granted, it should be difficult to set up. It's extremely powerful in the right circumstances. But this is one of those spots. I don't know how Tice really gets out of this spot other than hope this Dr. Boom just sticks and that his Boombots get the right rolls.
And that's actually going to be lethal here. Dog has a Valen's Chosen to push through enough of the damage here, and Tice had to take a risk there. Like, I know there's so many ways for Dog to lethal me here, but the only way I see myself winning this game from here is to get this giant, couple minions in play and try to win from there. And we see what happens every now and then with Priest here. They have a lot of really good early minions with a lot of toughness, and then when you couple that with Valen's Chosen and like a well-timed removal spell or well-timed hero power, you can snowball the board into your control really fast, and Dog just ran away with that one.
Yeah, mind you, that was also off of a wild growth opening from Tice. Like this wasn't like Dog just played minions and Tice had nothing. Tice had a wild growth opening and Dog just had enough tempo to really roll away with this one, and it's just that's such a difficult situation for the Druid to be in. How do you handle that much board pressure? And I hit the nail right on the head too. I mean, Tice had to take a risk in that game, and granted, it was a lot earlier than he wanted it to be, and it's a very big risk. Your opponent has to have 2 damage to kill you. But how else does he get back into the game? I mean, say he swipes and uses hero power, he's just going to end up in the exact same situation minus a swipe.
Yeah, it's like playing not to lose versus possibly playing to win, and I definitely like Tice's line of play there. It's high risk, high reward, but I think every other line just maybe extends the game one more turn, and then you just lose from there.
Yeah.
And so Dog's going to go with Rogue here, and Tice is also going to switch it up a little bit here. He's going to be playing a Secret Paladin list, and this one has got the curve from 1 to 8, it looks like. He's got Secret Keeper all the way up to Keeper of Uldamon.
Yeah, and if he continues to draw very well, I mean, this could definitely be lights out for Dog. No Fan of Knives, no Blade Flurry in hand. Even if he picks up Blade Flurry, the Tinker Sharpshooter is what he has to pick it up. I'm sorry, to utilize it. Tice, meanwhile, Consecration, of course, a pretty dead draw in this matchup. But, sometimes you just need that extra 2 points of damage or clear out some 3/3s in combination with Muster for Battle.
Yeah, it can be a burst card, maybe let you trade up with some of your 1/1s or, where some of your knives have gone. If you're like pretty far ahead, you should be winning those games most of the time anyway, but sometimes it's like the last little push you need to get through. But as you said, pretty much done in this matchup. But he does have a lot of early game minions. He has a Muster for Battle, and he looks like he should be able to get a board going into a Mysterious Challenger turn, and that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, and now let's talk about this turn from Dog. Dog chose to eviscerate Secret Keeper on turn 2. I don't mind this play at all. But what kind of information does Tyson get from a play like this?
I mean, you definitely know that Dog's hand is on the weaker side, right? If he's going to fight you this early on something, it's either he has all of his removal spells or he's just hoping not to get killed right away.
Yeah, so does play Knife Juggler first. I think oftentimes you'd see players use Shield and Minibot here. But Tyson using that little bit of information, knowing that maybe he can pick up some extra damage here. Dog did draw Fan of Knives, so, kind of maybe potentially rewarding a situation like this. And Tice is going to go for that Muster for Battle, so maybe this is the turn that Dog can turn this back around. Does take some damage, but that's kind of what Rogue wants to do, is it wants to trade a little bit of early life to get those big swings on the board and then try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's hard to pass up the Muster for Battle here after your Knife Juggler wasn't answered. And I feel like Dog is, that was something he knew was coming. It's like this very big possibility is going to happen. I picked up my Fan of Knives, and I'm okay with this happening. It picks up Backstab as well. Yeah. Dog's deck is churning on a high cylinder right now.
Yeah, he's leading into Azure Drake too. So he's got options for Azure Drake and Backstab or Azure Drake Prep Sap, and these are both fantastic turns for him. I mean, this is like the dream scenario for Dog at the moment. That single Fan of Knives completely changes dynamic. Now he has Violet Teacher as well. Goodness gracious, his draw is good.
Yeah, I was about to say, now does this change this turn? It doesn't look like he wants to float a mana this turn or pass up the chance to play an Azure Drake here. And depending on what comes out of the Shredder, this could be really good for Dog here. It's a Whirling Zap-O-Matic.
Yeah, I don't actually think that's like necessarily the worst thing. I mean, he takes a lot of damage from this, but he's just looking to turn this board around in 1 or 2 turns. I mean, yeah, Blessing of Kings, he's terrified of it, but using Prep Sap right here obliterates his next turn. Like his next turn looks like garbage if he chooses to do that. And so I don't think that's something he can do. I think he just has to eat this damage and hope for the best.
Yeah, he's going to take 6 from the Shredder, baby. I mean, that's about as big as it gets. Well, it looks like Tice is actually going to exert some control on the board here. Can't blame him. Azure Drake is one of those minions that it's so scary to leave around, and he's going to coin out this Mysterious Challenger here, putting a lot of pressure on Dog. And
Happy Feast of Wintervale, champion.
Yeah. I hadn't actually seen this in the game, but I haven't played since they updated the holiday spirit into the game. So, and you
Yeah.
see Dog get a little laugh out of it as well. I love to see the camaraderie between the two combatants here.
Yeah. Knows that repentance is in play. 5 secrets is usually a pretty big indicator of that, but if he was paying attention in Tice's earlier match, also got to catch a glimpse of that.
Yeah, Dice playing the full one secret paladin list. He got 5 secrets off of his secret paladin, plus has secret keeper in it. I mean, he's going full secret paladin in this round today.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't go full Northshire, but you definitely do go full secret paladin sometimes.
I was wondering if you're gonna pick up on that one. All right, so what do you like this turn? Do you just like Violet Teacher, Sap, and then possibly take care of the 2/1 here?
I don't see a way that he's not sapping this turn. You certainly aren't eating 9 damage.
I mean, yeah, if you eat 9 damage, just assume that you're gonna be dead here, right?
Yeah, but even sapping, it's it's got to feel kind of bad because your opponent could just get more secrets out of it. And the other thing too is that he knows the redemption's there, so I think he has to just do as much as he can to try to take care of this board. So these
Yeah,
1/1s. This is spot.
Next up is gonna give him a bunch of 1/1s, but this gives value to Consecration from Tice as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough spot overall. Whirling for Dog. I mean that Whirling Zap-O-Matic did add a little bit of the extra 3 damage doesn't seem like much, but at the end of the day, every single point counts against this deck. You can only take damage for so long before they just get an overwhelming amount of pressure and you just can't handle everything.
And I like what Dog's doing. He's trying to elongate this game by at least one more turn if he can, further than it would have, because he has Southsea deck in his hand. He has Tinker Sharps with Oil. He has Prep. I mean, if he gets a little damage in from the minions that are in play now, like let's say Tice spends his turn, deploying Mysterious Challenger again, Dog gets kind of some of initiative here and could possibly find some cards that get him into lethal.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot of help, though. I mean, Tice's hand is just so strong for this point.
Tice just trying to figure out, how aggressive he wants to be this turn, how to play this. He has a weapon to take down this Violet Teacher. He doesn't have to use the Consecration this turn if he doesn't want to. But what minion does he develop?
Yeah, it looks like he wants to go with Lotheb. Just shut off a big sprint turn, maybe. I feel like that's really one of the ways that Dog stays ahead in this game is sprint in this spot. So just wants to shut that off. 5/5. Looks like it's going to go uncontested this turn. Dog's going to have to use a little bit more, I think, than he wanted to deal with this. And he's also got to worry about, is that another Noble Sacrifice that Tice has in play? How does that affect things?
And can he avoid to play around it too? It looks like he's going to check for it first, I think. He might use his dagger to check for the Noble Sacrifice here, but can he tank another 2 damage here? Can he afford to keep chipping away at his own life total? He's got to be careful about that.
Yeah, again, it's kind of like when it comes in small little bits, that's usually when you can control it. It looks like he's full on the attack at this point. Knows that Paladins are relatively short on burst.
Yeah, a lot of the secret Paladin lists, run 1 to 0 consecrations nowadays. So knowing that he doesn't really necessarily have to play around that card right now.
He also got word earlier that there was no Blessing of Kings. I mean, we certainly would have seen Blessing of Kings in the Whirling Zap-O-Matic. So he knows that's not there.
Yeah. Keeper of Voldemort, not the best draw right now. Doesn't do a whole lot on this board, but he still has Mysterious Challenger here. He can still make another Noble Sacrifice after that if he wants. He's got the 6/6 Lotheb in play, but it's hard to pass up this Consecration here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is shutting off so much potential damage. Trimming out the board. I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if he attacked the 3/1 this spot, but he does want to push the damage instead and set Dog on that dangerous turn. And this is do or die for Dog at this point. It looks like we're going all in.
Yeah, he's got to set up possible lethal next turn, and Dog does have a Blade Flurry to do a lot of extra damage this turn. Does he have enough to get everything done here, though?
Well, he's got 12 points damage from the dagger. Is this 6 plus 7? And he's 3 damage off lethal. If that Noble Sacrifice wasn't set, he had this game, but...
Yeah. The Noble Sacrifice is going to be able to keep this from being taken down by Dog, though. He did get the top deck that he needed to possibly get through the turn, but...
That's an Avenge that's down, right?
I think so, yeah.
No, I think Dog's out of this game. I mean, I don't think it matters where it falls. Yeah, he can't handle this pressure.
Yeah, the Divine Shield on the mini bot here is gonna. You see, Dog kind of just shrug. Like, what are you gonna do?
That's Secret Paladin.
Yeah, this deck is a walking meme at this point.
Just so powerful and Dog.
It looks like Tice is gonna take this game and even up this set at 1-1 here, showing you how powerful this Secret Paladin list can be. Yeah. Dog top decked what he needed to possibly get lethal that turn, but Noble Sacrifice was there to stymie any of his hopes of winning that game.
Yeah, I mean, having to use the sap on a turn where it looked like he didn't want to sap. I really think the Whirling Sap-O-Matic was the big difference here. I mean, just the extra couple points damage and then being able to take out the Azure Drake as well. Say that a 2-3 gets dropped here. Say, that Tice was getting jab shredder drops. I think Dog actually might have won this game. Tice didn't have a way to actually kill the Azure Drake unless he had a 3-power or more minion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he probably keeps the Azure Drake around an extra turn. He's under a little less pressure. Doesn't take the extra 3 there. There's a lot of different things that could have gone on. And Tice, I want to talk a minute about Tice playing Druid. He's going to be the scariest Druid player in the world. And I don't just mean by skill. It seems he always has Wild Growth or Innervate in his opening hand every time I see him play this deck.
Well, I mean, you got 2 copies of Darnassus Aspirant, you got 2 copies of Wild Growth, you got 2 copies of Innervate. I mean, you're pretty darn likely to draw one in your opening hand.
I want to see him miss just once, Nathan. I'm not asking for a lot. I just want to see it once.
I never want to see Tice miss. I hope Tice draws perfect every day for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I'm not rooting against him. I'm saying it just seems like he always has it.
Now, there are some people out there, I hope they get a flat tire every day for the rest of their life. But not Tice. Good guy Tice.
Oh man, that's pretty mean. I wouldn't wish that on any people.
Can you imagine how awful that would be? You're like, they pull out of your driveway and you're like, God, this is the 4th day in a row.
Yeah. At the 37th day, I think I would start to worry and be like, what's going on here? Well, why do I have another one?
You don't start to worry like day 6. Like, is someone sabotaging me?
Nope. 37 is where I start. 36
is like, oh, another flat tire. 37, it's a straw that broke the camel's back at that point.
Yep. It looks like Tice is going to try to get an early lead out here. He's going to innervate out this Paladin Shredder. Kind of making the zombie challenge not look great here, but Dog does put a Knife Juggler into play. Just, if you want to trade here, that's fine with me. I don't just get my my zombie child picked off for free.
Yeah. I think even if Tice had this Wild Growth last turn, I still think that innervating the Paladin Shredder is a little bit better. Get your minions on board first and then ramp into your later stuff.
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
Don't try to get too fancy with the innervate. Just, take the value while it's there. I mean, one of the biggest threats you can have is minions super far ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this at card games since, the dawn of time of card games. Anytime you can play something for free or cheaper than it should be that you can cheat on the mana curve, it's going to put you very far ahead. It's a winning strategy in every game that's ever come out.
Yeah. So he's going to be able to Azure Drake next turn. But meanwhile, Dog, a lot of answers to what's going on.
Yeah. No real cheap, easy, good minions for him to throw knives with here, though. If he wants to put a minion into play, he has to use his hero power. Otherwise, it looks like he's going to have to use his coin and possibly a consecration here, or possibly just a true silver champion. You see him kind of shrug again. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I fully expect, I fully expect the Knife Juggler to follow wherever the knife goes here.
I think he's supposed to do exactly what he just did and have true silver champion next turn. I mean, save the coin for a turn where you're really buying a lot of time. You know that Tice is pretty much priced into killing the Shredder in the spot. And now he gets a 3-2, and that 3-2 is actually pretty scary. Yeah,
it's got a relevant ability as well, and Dog's going to have to leave it around for a turn. You see him kind of just shaking his head, like the woe is me so far in this match. RNG not really going his way. His hands aren't really going a ton of his way here, but what can you do?
Yeah, could change a little bit here, though. I mean, Piloted Shredder into Consecrate. Some potential to climb back in this game. Not quite out of it just yet. Certainly fearing the range of cards more. If he could see Tice's hand right now, I think he'd be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Tice's hand has no minion pressure. It's just all answers at this point. And when Dog has answers and the other person has answers, no minions, it usually favors the person who has answers and some minions in that spot.
Exactly. Now, Dog does have some tools to get back in this game. It's just see how he wants to navigate these turns. You clear out this Sorcerer's Apprentice with his weapon here and then develop a Sludge Belcher. And I gotta believe that's where he's going to start.
I think this is certainly one way that Tice can get some pressure rolling too, but I think it's just too good to pass up, really. Yeah, that's a pretty dead draw.
Yeah, Ancient of Lore would have been great for Tice there. Darnassus on the end of on the way worse end of draws for him here. Another card that you want to have early in the game, not so much top decking on turn 7. And you see this is the problem with the Druid deck sometimes is, yeah, they have all this mana, they do all these cool things, but sometimes you get these hands that are just super clunky.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it feels kind of rogue-esque where you need a mix of minions and spells, and if you draw all of one way or all of the other, it can definitely be troublesome for you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. These decks, they need it to be one way or the other. Once it tilts one way, like if you draw all of your minions, it could be a problem, or all of your spells, it could be a problem. But if you ever get the good mix, boy, are these decks powerful.
Yeah, even have to innervate out the Darnassus Aspirant here. Just needs to get any pressure rolling.
Try to make Savage Roar a really good top deck too later. He needs to get as much damage as he can get over the next turn. And if he gets in 6, then that puts Dog down to 15. He's almost at that magic number.
Yeah, looks like it's gonna be second True Silver Champion. Not a surprise here. All right. And then coin the Elder Peacekeeper. That's really the question I see here. Like, do you shut off the damage now?
Yeah, I think
Coin
you do.
Tyrion next turn, but your opponent's been holding on to 2 cards the whole time, and it's pretty likely to be Keeper of the Grove, I think.
Yeah, it's also likely to be some combo pieces as well. I think he's very concerned about his life total getting around 14 to 16 from here.
Ooh, doggy.
Was that a good? Was that good?
That's you know, it's a pretty big draw.
It's not huge.
No, it's pretty huge.
All right.
It's pretty huge. Dr. Boom is about one of the biggest ones you get at this point.
That's a Defender of Argus in Dog's deck. Something we're starting to see kind of creep into the mid-range Paladin list, but not always ubiquitous, so it's interesting to see some new cool stuff in there. Is Dog regretting not holding onto that coin for Coin Tyrion this turn now?
See, regretting using the Outdoor Peacekeeper.
That too,
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to question your play in this spot. I mean, Tice pretty much did hit Jin.
Right.
With that draw. I mean, you can't really be kicking yourself for that one. I mean, you put him in a miserable spot. You drew the right card. You know, it's part of the way it rolls sometimes. But gosh, I mean, where does he come back from this spot? I mean, this is exactly what he was trying to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of great things he can do here. It's really hard for him to pair Defender of Argus with something to do great. He can use his weapon plus the Elder Peacekeeper to take down, Dr. Boom. I mean, if you're going to take 7 from it, you might as well do it on your own terms, is what I'm saying. And it looks like that's what's about to happen. You got to do what you got to do. It looks like Dog's going to be shrugging yet again. And it looks like he's going to Loath up here as well, just to make sure that he doesn't die this turn from some, crazy things out of Tice's hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the big point here, too, is that Dog is going to dip low on life, but his follow-up to this is very strong. I mean, Tice has only got 3 power out at the moment. Oh,
Tice picks up
jeez.
Emperor Thaurissan as well. It's going to make both of these Force of Natures cheaper, and that means he can cast both of them next turn if he wants.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of damage to push through.
That was a big top deck from Tice again. I mean, he had a chance to be blocked out of this turn.
Yeah, it was back-to-back draws. Just absolutely killer.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to push damage here.
You know, that's part of the benefit of playing Druid, though, is that you do have very high draw density later in the game. You know, you're going to draw a lot of good cards. Ancient Lore would have been good here. Druid of the Claw would have been good here. Savage Roar would have been good here. I mean, pretty much his whole deck is good, outside of the early ramp spells.
Now, if you're Dog, how do you play this turn? Because like you can't play around the combo anymore, right?
No,
That
absolutely
ship
not.
sailed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just got to play for pressure.
And this double consecration, these are cards that are not amazing against Druid. I mean, you could find some board states that are pretty good. Like this one's not terrible, but these cards he would love for them to be anything else.
Yeah, honestly, you know, this spot's not looking too bad. I mean, he does have 2 Force Natures.
Right.
He's got the board space for him too. So, you know, unless these Boombots are just gonna go absolutely berserk.
I mean, we've seen Boombots go hard before.
Well,
And that one did the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's a good one for a Dog. You know, finally something fortunate happening.
And Tice draws Harrison Jones after both True Silver champions have happened this game, so probably one of the only things that's left over is maybe Muster for Battle, or maybe if he picks off this Tyrion here later in the game, but that's not something that he can really rely on.
Yeah, still some 1-2 Shredder just chipping away.
I gotta believe he's
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to go for it, honestly. He just needs the minion pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
This might be the opening for Dog to climb back into this one. I mean, now he's got Tyrion on board. It's going to provide him 15 points of damage. The Sludge Belcher to back this up. I mean, he might have enough time to climb through this. And Wild Growth, I mean, if you see a dead draw from Tice here...
It's going to be Ancient of Lore, let's be real.
It's just going to be.
All right, well, Wrath and Ancient.
Hey, how about
Lore.
Wrath? Wrath ain't too
Can't
bad.
play anymore, but let's see, Wrath, not a bad one for him here. Allows him to cycle, get another card, gets a trade into Tyrion. If he can somehow, take care of, if he can somehow raise Ashbringer here, he's not in the worst spot ever. He's pushing a good bit of damage into Dog here this turn. He's got Dog down to 5.
Yeah, he doesn't play the Shade this turn, so... You know, it's a pretty poor draw, but, I mean, it's do or die time now for Dog. I mean... Is there a play other than the Consecrate first? I don't think so.
No, I don't know if there is. You gotta hope that nothing bad comes out of the Shredder again, like Millhouse Manastorm again, and he gets a 2 toughness minions. That means that he's going to actually go ahead and kill him. He's seen both Force of Natures from Tice now, so he knows that a lot of the burst potential isn't there from Tice. Swipe is lethal here, though.
Yeah, Keeper of the Grove's not, but Tice's got to make a decision. I mean, look at his hand right now. He's got 2 minions on board. Your opponent's at 5. Do you hold on to this Keeper of the Grove? Well, you've seen a Tyrion at this point. Sludge Belcher's the only way you lose.
Yeah, Sludge River might be the only way you lose, so I think he is going to actually hold on to it and hope that the Shade might get through for lethal next turn. But like, because what he could have done is he could have played the 2/2 here, attacked the dog's face with his hero power, putting him to 4, and then the shade becomes a 3/3. You can attack with a 3/3 and your hero power into dog next turn through a taunter if you keep the Keeper of the Grove in your hand.
The dog's got to figure out now how does the race work? You know, what's the math on this? Do you need to cut into Savage Roar? Can you drop to 1? I am glad I'm not in dog spot right now because this is tough.
Yeah, this is where they make their money. This is where the big time pros really get their edges. These little bitty decisions. This is a difficult turn.
Just drop to 1.
Or do you push the pressure into Tice and try to find lethal yourself next turn? You know, is there something to be said about just going 5 upstairs, playing Sludge Belcher, playing Muster for battle, possibly? I don't even know if you played Muster for battle here. These draws might have been bad for Dog.
I mean, he's got to play the Sludge Belcher. There's not really a question about that. I think it's a matter of whether or not you take out this Keeper of the Grove or whether you take this damage straight to the dome. And this is it. I mean, the decision's got to be made in the next couple seconds, and it looks like he's made up his mind. Drops to 1, but he's got 7 power out, and Tice can't push through this point of damage right now.
And I mean, all of Tice's burn spells are gonna be lethal. He draws the swipe there. You see the grin on Tice's face. Well, I drew that one, so
yeah.
Tice is gonna move up 2-0. I think I would have liked to see Tice hold on to that Keeper of the Grove for possibly one more turn, but I can't blame him for playing it and putting a lot more pressure on Dog.
Absolutely not. I mean, in a situation like that, Dog has got to have quite literally Sludge Belcher, and that's it. I mean, when your opponent's got 1 card and they have 2 cards, they have 1 card they have to have, and they get 2 cards in their hand, I think you got to make him have it in that spot. I think that Tice's play is really spot on. But Dog,
well, I mean, you've already seen both consecrations from Dog, so he can't kill your Shade of Nexramas.
Yeah.
And this way you get to play around Sludge Belcher. You get to play around the one thing that he can't have, right? Like, what else could he have in this situation? You've already seen Tyrion, you've already seen both consecrations, both true silver champions. Like, Lay on Hands maybe is a card you're worried about.
Yeah, I mean,
that's probably what he's worried about.
Anti-Keelbot as well. I mean,
Anti-Keelbot,
you got to consider if you hold on to the Keeper of the Grove, your opponent does get extra cards for that too. Either way, I think that both those players played it as well as they could. Dog,
absolutely,
just getting a little bit on the unlucky side, not too much, but just barely not enough. And so now it's gonna be Patron Warrior versus mid-range Paladin, and with 2 consecrations in the build, those are not very good versus Grim Patrons. But the rest of his deck's pretty darn good versus this.
Yeah, a good classic fight here in Hearthstone. Paladin versus Warrior, good versus evil. We'll have to see who prevails out of this match. Paladin, of course, being the good guys here. The dirty Patron players being the bad guys.
Patron's totally fair now.
Yeah,
everything right now is fair. I feel like every deck right now is fair game.
Battle Rage is still a little broken, but still, the deck's fair.
I mean, I think it's a totally fine card. It's a lot of setup you got to do for Battle Rage.
Well, yeah, Whirlwind. A lot of setup there, Nathan.
Well, you got to have all the minions out.
I know.
Damn it.
Now, Dog has a great opening here. Double shielded mini bot. A little better than some of the openings he's had in the last couple games.
Yeah, I mean, it deserves a good one, right? I mean, it's been so long.
That's how it works, right? You get what you deserve.
You get what you need.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
And he's going to have a great answer here to this Frothing Berserker. True Silver Champions, just with the Doctor Order. He's going to get to push a little damage here as well. Got some good pressure going on Tice, and he's got some stuff to back this up. He's got a Pilot Shredder in his hand. He's a Keeper of Voldemon for some utility, and you can see that big 7 drop in his hand that he's trying to work towards, that Doctor Boom.
And you mentioned what the Doctor ordered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's in the house.
You rang? Did you call for the Doctor?
So I'm just going to match Shredders here, it looks like.
Yeah, hopefully for him, his opponent's Shredders have been pretty bad against him today, so another 2-3.
I wonder if there's any debate here for
Keeper.
Yeah, I don't think there is, because your Shield Manibot's going to contest it anyway. Shredder contests it as well. Yeah, I think it's better just to go ahead and use Shredder. I mean, the Keeper's such a flexible card. And
yeah, I think that's the reason why I kept this. It's good with his hero power, because I don't know how much value it has in this matchup against Tice's minions. There's not many that he could really. I mean, I guess maybe if a Frothing Berserker gets out of hand, but we've already been through one of those. Yep. So I could see both those plays being fine. Keeper Voldemon would have killed the Trogno Stupid, plus had a 3/3 and a 3/4 into play.
Well, speaking of bad Shredder drops, continue to happen for Dog. It's just been on the bad side of these pretty much every single time, feels like. And Tice's hand is so good right now.
I think after this match, Dog is going to stop playing Pilot Shredder for a while.
Well, if you want to stop playing Pilot Shredder, you got to stop playing Hearthstone for a while.
That's true.
The card is so good.
It looks like we got a little value out of keep Revoldum on here. It's going to allow him to kill this unstable gold, picking off the Trog No Stupid, and he's going to get to make a 1-1 after this. So Dog making some headway here, but there is a Death Spite on the other side of the board waiting to get some work done. This is going to be a big Grim Patron turn.
Yeah, Tice has got... Oh, my.
Oh, boy.
Goodness. Well, here we go, boys.
Start counting. At least there's no Warsong Commander anymore. This turn would be out of hand.
This turn's pretty out of hand as it is. I mean,
I think it's funny that we consider this fair now. That we consider this okay. Like, this is okay, guys.
it's totally reasonable.
Before it wasn't reasonable. This though, this is all right.
You know what's funny here is that actually, Dog doesn't have like the worst turn in the world against this.
Yeah, he's got Coghammer and Consecration. He can do some work here.
He might be able to actually get this done. I mean, Tyson's only going to spawn one Grim Patron from this Consecrate, and that's going to set the rest of them to 1 health. And then if he manages to deal with those, then the pressure stifled. A good execute here from Tice too.
Yeah, I like this execute a lot. He's going to cut down on the ways that Dog can get back into this game. Dog can't even play the Doctor Boom here this turn. He's got to clean up as much. I mean, can he play the Doctor Boom here this turn?
Well, I think the execute was the key play here. I mean, Tice recognized that a Consecration here is a very, very bad situation for him. Just do what he can. So Dog, I mean, he still has a little bit of play against this, but, you know, San's an extra 3-1 now. It's going to be a lot harder to clean up all these Grim Patrons than it was before.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and make an extra Grim Patron spawn so that he gets the most value out of his Consecration here.
Tice is only left with 3 3-1s.
Yeah, only. I mean, we did it. We got him down to 3 3-1s. We're at 22. We're staring at 9. I mean, but in his own defense, Tice only had 1 card left to stand. Now, he did pick up a Death Spite. This is going to push a ton more damage at Dog here.
Yeah, I mean, this could potentially be the recovery turn, though. It's anti-healbot, Defender Vargas. He's got Dr. Boom. I mean, you know, 1 heal could really change this game.
Yeah, his weapon's going to be able to take out one of these patrons if he wants to, but it's going to be hard for... That's a good draw there. Another card that doesn't do anything.
It would have been good last turn.
Right.
It seems like everything is just 1 turn late for Dog. And you can even see the smile on his face like, yeah, so I go to the ends of the earth to kill these Grim Patrons, and then equality shows up. Perfect.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said it that way. I'm kind of like saying it from Dog's point of view. He just feels that like everything is 1 turn off or 1 point of toughness off out of the shredders.
Hey.
Dog's been pretty unlucky here today.
Kind of a dead draw for Tice, though. I mean, this is you know, here's the thing. Dog's been getting, I think, on the bad side of the luck so far, but his opponents are, you know, drawing a dead card to have a window of opportunity. Dog's got to draw a good card in this spot. And then I think he's right back into this. Sure, he's low on life, but outside of Grom, there's really not a lot of burst damage left.
Yeah, it's not like Dog's been drawing badly and just getting killed in all of his games. I mean, he's been playing well, and his opponents have gotten unlucky at certain spots too. Dog's just been way more noticeable right away with what's been happening on the board and stuff too. And yeah, I mean, Tice, he's still pushing for some damage here, but as you said, this Whirlwind, not a great draw. He's kind of got this Death Spite just stuck in his in play. He can't really use it because it kills 2 of his Grim Patrons. You know, how's he going to finish this game off?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. It's going to be a hard situation. You can see him struggling. I mean, just look at his body language. He's like, how much is 1/4 of his health worth right now versus the anti-Keel bot? He's going to choose to push, and you know, I think this is the opening for Dog right now. This turn going to make a big difference. And I think Eldor Peacekeeper is a totally fine draw in this spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to believe he's probably going to opt for Dr. Boom this turn, but there is a chance that maybe he gets really defensive with the Defender Vargas here and starts to take down some of the minions this way and, you know, use his Coghammer. It's going to be hard to pass up Dr. Boom, but at the same time, he could be very defensive this turn and try to turn the corner and then boom next turn.
I think that's exactly what he's looking at. You know, hard to pass up Dr. Boom, but you're at 8, man. You gotta be careful of your life total right now. You know, like say you can get control of this game without losing to just 1 big top deck from Tice in this spot. But he knows that Grom is going to kill him, so does he win this game outside of Grom? I think the answer might be yes.
Yeah, I think if he can fade the Grom top deck, like you said, then he's in business, and I really like the way he's playing it out this way, and I got to believe he's going to take down one of these minions as well. Do you take down the 2/2 or the 1/1?
I don't think it matters too much in this spot. I think they both kind of do the same thing, given that the Death Spite's in play. I mean, you're still dead to Grom in this spot, but, you know, again, he's looking for the recovery spot. He's looking to make Grom not a lethal draw the next turn or 2.
And does Tice have a lethal draw in his deck? That's a thing. I don't think he had a card that he could draw that was actually lethal this turn.
Grom would have done it this turn. Grom was the only one.
Oh, yeah, Grom would have done it this turn. Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, now Dog, you know, once again, that window has been extended at this point, and that was his goal. You know, last turn was the window to climb back into it. Now is the window to get completely out of the burning building that is the Grim Patron Warrior.
Well, I mean, Tice might just not use his weapon here. He might just have to hold on to it to make sure Grom is lethal, right? Is he at that point where this is my out? I have to play to this now? Doesn't look like it. He does get a little bit of value off Whirlwind this turn if he wants to as well.
Yeah, it's just gonna go sacrifice his Scroll Taskmaster. Grom is still a lethal draw because of the Whirlwind, but again, Dog looking to close this window right now.
Yeah, I can't believe he's ever going to pass up playing the Dr. Boom here. Push a little bit of damage that he can. He's going to set up lethal for next turn. He's trying to force this game 5. Tice has to draw Grom here this turn, or it's going to be real hard for him to win from this point.
Yeah,
Dog has an insurmountable board.
That's the other thing, too. If he doesn't draw Grom this turn, that Whirlwind's going to be gone. And then Grom doesn't turn into a lethal draw after that.
Well, he picked up a Patron here. This could soak up some of the bomb damage. Yeah,
he's got to go for the Patron here. This is it. I mean, you just hope that the Grim Patrons, continue to spawn. Like, say the Boombots hit him and you get lucky. I mean, that's situation here. But at the same time, they could just hit upstairs for a lot of damage. Boombots can do crazy things.
He's going to make sure that he gets the full amount of armor off of his Armor Smith here as well, gaining a lot of extra armor. Tight play here from Tice. First Boombot hits. Second Boombot hits. Kills 2 minions. That's down to just a 3-3 from Tice here. Oh, picks up Lay on Hands. That's probably going to seal it up.
Huge draw from Dog, and now Tice has no way to end the game in the next turn or so. Dog has complete card advantage. He can shut off Tice's board. With that Lay on Hands, I think Dog just won this game.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be going into a game 5. We're going to play through the next turn or two here, but if Tice doesn't draw something good this turn, I fully expect to see the concession and moving on to game. Oh, that's a big game hunter.
Well, it is a big game hunter, but it's also 2 Sludge Belchers from Dog, and I think this is going to be enough to potentially make Tice throw in the towel here.
He even picks up True Silver Champion as well here. He's going to be able to push some extra damage next turn as well.
I'm even free to pay his health to protect his Sludge Belchers, but just doesn't. I mean, at this point, it feels like Dog could just close his eyes and click buttons and get away with this one.
I think I'll do this here. I think I'll do that one there.
I want to see some blindfolded Hearthstone. That's what I want to see.
How would you know to end your turn? How would you know if you ended your turn?
Hey, that rope will end your turn, man.
Yeah. That would be hell to cast, by the way.
That would be great.
You'd be like, well, let's see if he actually ends his turn anytime soon.
Yeah.
Do you have to, like, remember what turn you're on, how much mana you have?
Tice definitely doesn't want to give up, but the writing's on the wall at this point, I think. It's just too much from Dog at this point. Wow, what a very well played game. Very patient from Dog. Diffuses the situation.
Yeah,
just consider about the sequencing here. Do you want the True Silver Champion or do you want the Muster for battle?
Yeah, I honestly think it almost doesn't even matter at this point. I think both Whirlwinds are gone, both Death Spites are gone. I don't think there's a play that Dog can make that he actually loses the game here. I don't think there's any top deck Tice can make here that gets him back in the game. Like, is Tice playing a Harrison Jones? I don't know if we've seen that in his deck yet, but I don't even know if Harrison into something can get him out of this.
Tannen, he's going to need James Franco because his next card has to do everything.
Oh my god.
Loatheb is not James Franco. And so this series is going to get tied at 2 games apiece. Dog forces game number 5.
And that's the only way this match could have ended, in my opinion. I mean, 2 titans of Hearthstone here playing, and again, Dog left with Rogue for game 5.
Yeah, and this is the Rogue versus Patron matchup, too. I mean, we talked about how the Rogue versus Druid matchup, all the Rogue players think the Rogue's favored, all the Druid players think the Druid's favored. This one's the exact same way. Like, every single Rogue player, I feel like, is going to be like, no. You just played Flurry Patron, they're done. And all the Patron players go, yeah, go ahead. You can Blade Flurry all they want. I still got Grom to end the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to be said about the Rogue players. It's almost like they have this, like, chip on their shoulder, this ego that, like, yeah, I'm a Rogue player. I'm still doing it. I'm still wielding, the dagger and trying to win with this deck. And I'm favored in all my matchups. Why do people think the deck isn't great?
I feel that way every single time I'm playing like Face Hunter. I'm like, man, I think Face Hunter just beats everything. And then like I actually play games and they're just like turn 2 unstable goal, and I'm like, Face Hunter doesn't beat anything.
Yes, into Sludge Belcher, you're just like, come on.
Well, good opening hands, I'd say, for both of them.
Absolutely.
I mean, Tice's hand is looking, wow. I mean, this looks exactly like how you want the straw to pan out. I mean, this is Unstable Goal and Acolyte of Pain, and then a weapon afterwards.
Yeah, this is something we haven't seen from him in the games, is him drawing a lot of extra cards. We haven't seen him have the good Acolyte of Pain turns of Whirlwinds. We haven't seen him have a huge Battle Rage yet. So he's been having to play just like a pretty straight up fair game with Patron.
Yeah. Dog gonna be patient once again. Looking like Blood Mage into backstab on the potential Acolyte of Pain here. Certainly a good answer.
Yeah, and I like him starting to chip away at this unstable ghoul as well. You don't want to let that sit around for too long on the patron side of the board because they do get a lot of value out of that card.
Yeah, no reason to give them extra whirlwind effects on their time. Deal with it on your terms. I would say now the Blood Mage is directly threatening the unstable ghoul, and it's only cost him a couple points of life, and the life is, I think, largely irrelevant in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen Dog show his understanding of this matchup for sure. Playing great so far in this game.
So now where does Tice want to go? I mean, here's the tricky thing about this matchup, I think, is which player is typically the aggressor. The Rogue's got to get something done eventually, but the Grim Patron, I certainly feel like they feel like they're running out of time at a certain stage.
Yeah, I think it comes down to how much removal the Patron deck draws as well, because the Rogue deck doesn't run a ton of minions, and if the Patron deck can get value off, like, say, Deathbite and an Execute, like you see in Tice's hand, that sometimes it can be hard for the Rogue deck to keep up because they just have so much incremental value along the way of killing your minions that sometimes it's insurmountable for you as a Rogue player.
Violet Teacher, such a good draw on this spot, too. You can see Dog deep in thought. I mean, we talk about how, or I talked about how, oftentimes he relies on his intuition, but with a hand like this, you have so many different good ways to go. I mean, this is like first world problems right here. They have too many good plays.
But what is the best one?
Yeah.
That's the question. And Dog, he's got countless hours, thousands of games logged to this deck. If you see him taking this much time on turn, it's because the turn is very difficult.
Yeah, I don't mind the Sap and Dagger up. This gives him Violet Teacher Coin Eviscerate next turn.
Yeah, it's a very good setup for next turn. I like this play from Dog a lot as well. Give himself some time, buy some tempo.
Yeah, is this a spot where Tice ever feels like he wants to set up Deathbite? I think with the Whirlwind draw, probably not, but he's thinking about what this means for Dog's hand range. I mean, just look at Tice's face; it says it all.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're Tice, how do you start to set up winning here? Like, what's the line that you go through? Do you just pilot a Shredder again and pass? Do you start get Frothing Berserker going? Do you just set up a Deathbite to get a big patron turn down the line? Maybe you pick up Inner Rage next turn and can flood the board against Dog. What's your best line? It looks like he's going to go Pilot Shredder again.
Well, this is kind of what I was talking about, is at what point does the patron deck feel like it's running out of time? And I certainly get that sense from Tice where he doesn't quite know exactly what to do.
All right, Coin Eviscerate. This is a big play here. Let's see if Dog finally gets, really lucky on his end.
Let's see if he can get a Doomsayer.
I was going to say, yeah, there's some really good and some really bad drops out of this one. Anything with 1 toughness is going to be great for Dog. Hey, or 0 power is good as well.
I'll take 0 power any day of the week if I'm Dog in this situation. Finally finds a critical Shredder drop for himself instead of for his opponents. I mean, this might be a spot now where Tice is really feeling shaky about his situation.
Yeah, and so how does Tice navigate this turn? He has Whirlwind to Execute available to him if he wants to do that. That's using a lot of resources to take care of a Violet Teacher, but this is a big threat on the side of Dog. The problem is, how do you develop after that?
Yeah, I think I like setting up the Deathbite here and then using the Whirlwind in this spot, but he also could just wait too. I mean, he's not under a ton of pressure in this spot. So hanging on to the Whirlwind to just get more effect from it, certainly a reasonable play.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to die from this spot.
Because now he has threat on the Azure Drake as well. And all it cost him was a couple extra points of life. I mean, I think this is a fantastic situation for Tice, really navigating this into its full potential.
Yeah, Dog's going to get some value out of his minions here and take out his light well instead of pushing damage to make sure that that doesn't just sit around for the whole game. If Tice were to start gaining a little bit of life, there's a chance he could just get out of range of Dog's deck.
Yeah, and so here's my question. Tice's hand is full of weapons and utility, and he's got a big Grim Patron. Does he feel like he's out of time and that this is the Grim Patron turn? Because if he moves in here and runs into Blade Flurry, that's basically it. He's given away his whole hand at that point. So if he's going to play Grim Patron, exactly how much does he invest? Does he go the full Monty? Does he take his time with it? He feels like this is the turn.
I saw him actually go through everything you just said in his mind, like all those thoughts, and then he just shrugged. He's like, well, I mean, these are the cards that I was dealt, and you can see it on his face right now. He's like, well, do you have Blade Flurry or not? Am I dead, or do we keep playing? Are you dead? And so Tice, this is kind of like how Dog has been. Just shrug your shoulders, put your hand in the air, like, is this good? Are you dead?
I like that Tice has chosen to go with just the single Inner Rage here and hold on to the rest of his utility. In the event that this situation happens, he still has a chance to win this game. And so you can see him nod. Like, Tice feels like he's rewarded in this spot. Even though he had to go for it and Dog had the right cards, Dog has yielded initiative over to Tice. And Tice
Yeah.
still has a handful of utility, so not quite out of this game just yet.
Yeah. Decent draw for Tice there. Another armor, so just another minion to put into play. It's better than some of the other draws that he could have had here, but at least he gets back on the board first. As you said, he gets initiative back and has a couple of removal spells left in his hand that can maybe clean up whatever Dog's going to follow up with here. The biggest thing for Tice going forward here is just keeping minions off of the board on Dog's side.
Yeah, which is going to prove a fairly difficult task here. As Drake's to start. And kiss that Frothing Berserker goodbye.
Oh, I love seeing Frothing Berserker die. Get him. Big game hunters drawn from both players here. There's not a lot of targets in both decks. We've seen some Dr. Booms making their way into rogue decks. Generally, if you have a target from a Tinker Sharp's Oil, you're probably dying anyway for your big game hunter. And then on Dog's side, it's there mostly because of something like Dr. Boom on the other side, a card that's really difficult for rogue to deal with at times.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this is just such a tough turn. Big Game Hunter's just a completely dead draw. Just gotta make do with what he has, and Tice is answering what's happening, but once again, he continues to just yield initiative over to Dog turn after turn.
He's gonna get this Big Game Hunter into play because it's a 4/2 body. Dog does have some decently clean answers to this here. He's got SI7 agent this turn. You can even start to develop a Violet Teacher as well here and start to set up some big, damage potential going forward. Because Tinker Sharp's in his hand. He even has all Loatheb, which is very surprisingly good against Patron.
I'm trying to make most of it can. Whirlwind, oh gosh, feels painful for Tice, but finally some good luck for Dog on his side. Was able to climb out of last game, I think, because of a couple dead draws from Tice. But you can see Tice really knowing that, missing a couple key minions here, maybe missing a Battle Rage turn. I think it was right to pull the trigger on the Grim Patron just as he did, but it's the reason that a lot of people think Rogue is favored in this matchup is you get those big Blade Flurry turns and then minion after minion, you just take the game away.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me so far in these matches, especially for Tice with Grim Patron, is it's like you said, there's been no big Battle Rage turn. He hasn't got a lot of value off an Acolyte of Pain. They've drawn one card at the most. He's had a Battle Rage for one and an Acolyte of Pain for one. It's hard for this deck to keep up when you're doing that, when you're not drawing 2 or 3 extra cards off your cards.
Yeah, you need to be getting those big returns, and Loatheb, it's going to shut off the potential for an execute, and this is just going to be Tinker Sharp's Oil. Dog's moving in.
And it does end up on the 4/1 Acolyte here, so no immediate attack from Tinker Sharp's Oil, but Tice is down to 13. He's under Loatheb. There's so much damage on the board. He picks up another weapon that seems to be all of his weapons drawn this game, and it's going to be difficult for him to get out of this.
Yeah, he does have some way to stave off damage here, but he's using so many cards to do it. He's paying his own life. Once again, he's Dog keeping initiative in this spot.
Yeah. Now, Dog has 12 damage on his side of the board. Tice is at 13. He can go up to 15, but a couple of cards are actually just lethal next turn for Dog, and Tice is going to go down even further this turn as well. He can go down to 8 here.
Dog needs 1 point of damage to end it, and an SI7 agent is enough. Wow, Dog that Blade Flurry swung this game completely in his favor, and he kept control the entire time afterwards. He's going to take this series 3 games to 2 and send Tice home.
Yeah, and Tice got to feel a little unfortunate about how his Patron draws have been. Never had the big explosive draws that we normally see out of this deck. Dog fairly didn't have a giantly explosive draw either. Never saw the cheap sprints out of him here, but it's like you said, that Blade Flurry just cleaned everything up and sent Tice packing.
Yeah, Tice definitely had a big turn against the Paladin deck, but he almost made too many Grim Patrons in that spot. Once he had made 6, that gave Dog the window to use his life as a resource and try to stave off as much pressure as he could. Left Tice with 3/1 Grim Patrons, and then was able to climb out of it because Tice drew 1 or 2 dead cards in a couple turns there. And I think that Tice really had some good situations, but again, you pretty much nailed it. You mentioned the card draw is super critical to this deck. Tice never found a big Battle Rage turn.
And you see that Tice is going to be left out of this one. Dog is going to move up, and it's going to be Jab versus Surrender in our next match when we come back. And it's going to be just a very short break, guys. We're going to kind of cut down the break time a little bit on you. We had a little problem in between the last one. So we're going to try to get to a match as soon as possible. And when we come back, we should have that match for you guys with Jab and Surrender just after a small break.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this Jab versus Surrender match.